So our objective here is to give you more familiarity with QGIS and explain the main structure of some of the data sets or the kinds of data sets you'll be using. So first thing we'll do is we'll download some more data again from our mingeo.state.mn.us site. We'll find some GIS data. In this case, we're going to find data on cities. So I get a bunch of entries, and I'm going to focus right now on the cities and town population centers. It has a shapefile that we'll want to download. So again, we download that shapefile to, in this case, my default, which is the downloads directory. And if I go to that directory, I can see then that it showed up. It's a zip file. Remember, it has this little zipper on it, so I have to right-click and extract all. It asks me where, I say the normal place, it expands then that folder, and I see I have this shipload pop center. I could go ahead and delete if I want the zip file just to leave the expanded folder there. Now I can add these data, remember, with our open source data manager vector. I left click here and I go ahead and navigate to the population centers folder, the shapefile, and I open it and add, and I see then that I have these data. Now they consist of points, so these are called point vector data. There's a point associated with each of the cities or township or other populated places in Minnesota. I can zoom in and see that some of them are pretty close, that unless I'm zoomed way in, they seem to overlap each other. Now I can right click and open the attribute table, and this is kind of the standard form. Each of these point features has a row in the table associated with it with a set of values. Now I can look at all the values here. There are a GNIS, that's an identifier, a name, a type, a county, a FIPS code, which is a Federal Information Processing Standard Code, the symbol class, and the population, that's the number of inhabitants associated with that point. And each of these features has an entry. I can show all the features here, and there are a ton, right? Now, if I move around, I can look at some of these close up, but I can't tell which is which. So one thing that's useful to do is to, in the properties, label the features. Right? So again, the table of contents, I'll right-click on the feature layer that I want, and I'll open the properties with a left click, and then I'll select labels here in this menu on the left and use a single label. I have to tell it what I'm going to label it with. Well, I'm going to label it with that name column because that contains the name. There's all sorts of other things I can change, the shape, the size, the font. I'm going to take the defaults for now and apply it. And I see then that I have all the names for all of these. Now, when I'm zoomed way out like this, they kind of step all over each other, but as I zoom in, they start to resolve separately, and then I can see the various ones. Now, I can also look at the information by using my Inquire cursor here. So I can left click or my Identify cursor. And if I click on a feature, I open up on the right-hand side here a panel that shows the feature values. So the name is Cromwell, and then there's all the features here, the feature values, I should say, associated with it for all the columns. So for Cromwell or for Wright, I can look at the population of 148 or 435 or 489, or in this township 261. So I can query really quickly using this identifier features tool. That's not to be confused with something called the selection tool. So I can select features. Now later on, we'll select to do various things. If I select, that selects the data here associated with the floodwood in both the attribute table and in the feature space here, the feature itself. So I can, if I zoom way down to floodwood, I should find it colored here to to show that it's selected. So floodwood is selected here, and it's selected here in the table. So I can go select in both places. And I can do this selection where I can select multiple features. I can hold and drag, and multiple are selected as shown here. So both the attributes and the geometry is selected. I can add then other data to show that many data have this same kind of format. So there's this county boundaries shapefile that is from a previous video, and I can add that. Now, it gets loaded in this case on top of the point data. The point data labels are still there, but the points are missing. So I could pull this down below to show the points on top. If I'm only interested in the counties, I can go ahead and turn these off so that they're not displayed anymore. Both the labels and the points disappear. If I look at this county boundary, I can open its attribute table, and I see it has that same form. I have an attribute here that's for the county name, the county code, the county FIPS, and these are all associated with Anoka County, the particular county there that is a polygon somewhere in my data set. So there's Anoka County, or Ramsey County, or Freeborn County. So these are all feature values associated with a feature data set. So the table then includes information for each of these vector features. Now, vector features are made of points, lines, or polygons. The polygons enclose space, the lines trace across my feature space, and the points are just at a location. And I have attribute data associated with the feature data.